Barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd. And with me is my co-host.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Isa Abu Isa. We on at another episode of the night show, which is not nighttime, but it is nighttime where our brother, the one being interviewed, is. We came up with this program to defend Islam from Qatar. Had that D in his beer.
This is his brother Abu Aaliyah, Lamont the White Battle, PhD in Hadith, also the author of the Coat Papers. And inshallah ta'ala, we will begin with this interview, inshallah, by asking our beloved brother who locally resides in Qatar right now. We're going to ask him, alhamdulillah, can you give us a little bit of background information about yourself, who you are, state your name, inshallah.
Sure. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله ولو كره الكافرون. My name is Abu Aaliyah Abdullah Ibn Dwight Lamont Battle. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. I've been a Muslim since '93, alhamdulillah. After coming from atheism, Allah guided me and steered me to al-Islam. After I became Muslim, I realized that being in that state I was in, which was very dangerous, the chance that any time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have taken my soul and I would have died as an atheist, I said to myself that I'll never, ever let myself fall for anything else again in the field of ignorance, blind following, or anything that is related to my soul and my salvation. So I took it upon myself after becoming Muslim to start studying. And at that time I took Shahada in Trenton, New Jersey at Masjid al-Jihad, and my Imam was Kamal Nuruddin, may Allah have mercy on his soul. Trenton has a real small community then, and it still has a small community now. Many of the followers at that time were followers of Imam Warathuddin Muhammad. So I was in search, I was really desperate because they really didn't have too much information or a lot of things going on at that time in regards to Islamic education. So I started learning Alif Bata, and at that time, '94, Imam Dawood Adib, he was still giving classes up in East Orange. So I was traveling back and forth between Trenton and East Orange, and then later on, Imam Abu Muslim came in and took over, became the Imam. And in '98, I went to Morocco, studied Arabic, and I stayed there for a nice period of time. Alhamdulillah, I was in the city of Fas. And while studying Arabic there, I would attend different halaqah, different classes, different halaqat. So I said, I want to get out and further knowledge one day, because it's such a vast information, world of information out there. So what I decided to do at that point was go back to America, work for a little bit, save money, because that's what everyone was doing at that time. Everyone had this theory, like, you save your income tax. You get your income tax check, you go to Egypt, or you go to Yemen, or, everyone was trying to apply for the University of Al-Madinah. So I applied for University of Al-Madinah, didn't get accepted, Qatar Allahu ma sha'a fa'ala. And in 2001, the year that Sheikh Muqbil died, rahimahullah, I made Umrah. And this was a very interesting trip, because there were chances I saw that it was possible for me to have a chance to study inside the Mamlaka. But I said, I'm not going to restrict myself and put all my eggs in one basket, because there was a job I was offered at Earlitz Institute, teaching English. So I said, okay, I'll be able to teach English and then study on the side. But then, really that wasn't even right, because they had me scheduled down for 6 days a week. So I came back, I told me, and at that time, the country that I'm in, alhamdulillah, it was easy to come. Qatar was easy for American citizens, and it still is easy for American citizens to come here and reside here, and it's close to the Gulf. So I said, you know what I'll do? I come here, find out what programs are going on, find out who the people of knowledge, of course they exist, so find out who the people of knowledge are, and then it's easy for me to travel to Saudi. I'm 2 hours away. It's easy for me to travel to Yemen, 2 hours away, or Kuwait and so forth. So I was taking advantage of these opportunities, and that's been my role for, since I've come to Qatar. As my biography is present on my website, you can see which scholars I sat with, what books I completed from beginning to end. And at that time, in 2001, there was something called Mahad al-Dawah, and it's still open. Mahad al-Dawah, they had an Arabic program for beginners, they had an Usul al-Fiqh program for beginners, and they had a Qawaid Fiqhiyya program for beginners. So I registered, and it was 3 nights a week. 3 nights a week, you had to attend the classes, you had exams, you had homework, you had oral exams, written exams, the whole kit and caboodle. So I joined that program, 2 years, I finished, got a diploma. And at that time, I was still traveling back and forth because working in a school here, you're basically on their academic schedule. So our vacation, alhamdulillah, is about 90 days. So this is a time where, we can go make Umrah. And there was a daughter going on at that time known as Muhammad Ibrahim Aaliyah Sheikh. And Sheikh al-Ubaid al-Jabari and Sheikh Saleh al-Suhaimi, they used to regularly attend this daughter. It was in Jeddah. And I think the area was called Hayat Masjid, Hayal Amiri or something like this. I forgot the name of the masjid. But every year I would go there. Every year I would go to the seminar. Alhamdulillah, I benefited tremendously by attending those seminars, completing books with the sheikhs. And in 2004, I had a teacher here, and we were together for 3 years. So his name was Nasiruddin Bil Qasim. He was a classmate with Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari. And he was one of my first teachers in Qatar who was a one-on-one class. His masjid was right, and his house was across the street from the masjid. So I took Baykonia over him. I took Nuzhatun Nadhr, then Ba'id Hadith, then Al-Muqaddim ibn Salah, and then we did Mudhakkar al-Usul. So when I finished books in Mustalah Hadith, he said, you need to go and study Amali. And he said, you know where the best place to go study Amali, which is how to apply the theory that you learned. I said, of course, Yemen. He said, yeah. So I went off to Yemen in 2004. There was one of my friends there who I knew since the days in East Orange back in the early 90s by the name of Abdullah McPhee. He's a Caucasian brother. I think he was originally from Atlanta. Real nice, well-groomed, very, mustafid, mashallah. So I stayed with him for about a day, and he set up some classes for me and Abu Hassan Ali al-Razihi, who taught me Takhrij, and he wrote a letter saying that I had perfected what he taught me. And during my whole time while I was in Yemen, I stayed with a brother by the name of Anis Waters. He is the one who I stayed with, and that's where I came and crossed with Abdullah Naeem. He was also there studying at that time, and this was 2004. I was only there, though, for about a month, and went back to Senai because it was an issue with my sponsor, my kafil. He was saying that your visa was only for Senai, so you weren't allowed to, sneak off to Damaj. So, when I came back, there was a university here that was cooperating with the University of Medina International, not Medina University, Medina International, who was set up by Sheikh Muhammad al-Tamimi. May Allah preserve him and bless him with good. And they have different satellite campuses all around the world. I'm not sure if they have come to set up one in America, but there's one in Kuwait, there's one here in Qatar, which is under the auspice and supervision of Sheikh Eid al-Khairiyah. So I went on through that program, did my bachelor's, did my master's, and applied for my PhD. I was delayed 1 year for the PhD because of the subject. They felt as though the subject that I chose, which was Jarh wa Ta'dil, applied to the people of the book, applied to Ahl al-Kitab. Man tuqbal riwayatu wa man turad. What are the conditions of accepting and rejecting narrations according to the people of the book? I wanted to study their conditions. So they delayed me. They said, okay, the research topic looks good. We'll get back to you, inshallah. So finally, about 2 months, 3 months later, they said that this topic is too much into the Aqidah section, and your takhassus, my undergrad degree is in Hadith, and my master's in Fiqh wa Sunnah. My dissertation, it's more focused on Aqidah, so why don't you do this? So I said, okay, so that's where I'm at. Right now, I finished pretty much a good portion of it. And there's some things that I have to change. I'm in no rush really to finish it. I'm in no rush to really finish it because my objectives, my aspirations, that once I do finish the PhD, inshallah ta'ala, is that I plan to maybe stay here another 5-10 years, and then eventually go and retire in Morocco and just work on maqtutat, work on manuscripts and translation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
نعم. طيب, alhamdulillah. The next question, Brother Isa.
The next question is, brother, what made you want to take on the issue of the cult characteristics? What made you feel as though you had to deal with that issue at the time?
Okay, good question. Jazakallah khair. All right, there were a few things, man. There are two things. The first thing, let me go back, and it connects to something very important. The first thing was, when I came over here, I stayed in touch with many of the du'at who I knew in the West. You know, all of those. I know them personally. You know, the older elders, as they say. Abu Hassan Malik, I know him. Musa Richardson, I know him. Abu Muhammad Maghribi, I met him a couple times. So I had some interaction and relationship with them. A lot of this goes back to what I saw in '94. That I was part of the East Orange community, Abu Muslim. And his movement, his thing, is pretty much what you see now, just a more extreme version. What I mean by that is that in Lincoln Street, there was something going on. There was education, there was tarbiyah. And at the other areas, there was QSS, Quran was Sunnah in Detroit, and Quran was Sunnah in New York City. So in '98, this is when things started going sour. There was a takeover in Germantown Masjid, and Abu Muslim, and he wanted to run that chapter, because pretty much in those days, in '97, '98, the dawah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, dawah to Salafiyah, was pretty much ran by Abu Muslim. Now these guys, they're his clones. You know, they had aspirations to be like him. You know.
Got 1 second. You said that the dawah was ran by Abu Muslim.
Okay. The dawah was ran by Abu Muslim in '98 until roughly 2000. I left in 2001 for good. And what I noticed then, there were these tactics of information control. There was Masjid al-Dirar, which were a group of brothers who left East Orange Masjid and wanted to establish a masjid over on 4th Avenue in East Orange by themselves. And this is where the illegitimate boycott started as well. That the people who prayed in that masjid were considered deviant. He said this on the minbar back then, okay? The issue of not doing business with a person unless they accepted all his doctrine. And in the beginning, you would be able to go to East Orange and buy the cassettes of Dawood Adib and buy the cassettes of Abu Osama. Then in '98, that'll be talk. And that's exactly what it was, just talk. It's a propaganda-based website that is purposefully set up to divert people away from the ulama, to waste your time, and to breed and plant the seeds of hatred. That website went on for a few years after that. So I was a member of that website. And if you go back and you look at my forums, I'm happy to say that I never participated in any of the gossip. I always tried to share the hadith, the statements of the scholars, and the ayat, and whatever was related. That was always my methodology on that website. And many of the students who participated, even Musa Richardson, say, may Allah bless you and keep you with that which is good. You know, you're spreading and reviving the sunnah. So a lot of students were on there. Then one day I got blocked. One day I got blocked from this website. I'm like, man, that's messed up. So I called Jalil Meekins and told him, you know, hit Abu Hassan Malik up and see, you know, why I'm not allowed to post on the website. You know, was it because what I posted at that time, my last post was actually up there for about a year. There was a guy named Fozi, and at that time, these guys around, you know, the sheikh, the alam, had an actual document from the Bahraini. He was silenced in 1999. He was silenced. So that was the last time I posted on the website. So fast forward here. Come back or seek any role in the dawah there in the from two brothers from Masjid Rahma. They said, man, we tired of this, man. We want ready for some change. I was like, what kind of change you want? They said, you know, what's your credentials, first of all? So I said, this is what I have. What are y'all talking about? They said, we want a conference, man. We tired of all of this nonsense going on. I said, okay, that's what y'all want to do. I'm all down for it. So during that period of time, I started seeing things, you know, with the emails, the back and forth, the bickering. There was a whole fiasco going on Salafi Talk centered around Tahir. So these brothers was calling me every day, man. Like literally sometimes 30, 40 times a day. And even one of the conversations I had about Tahir, but the masjid is losing money. When they said that, I just said, you know what? I'm not going to this conference, man. I'm out. Because Mufti's still studying it. Mufti was still studying it at that time. And I think Akhunan Tahir had just got accepted in the PhD. And Abdullah Ansari, I don't know if he was on the flyer, but they told me he was going to be invited. So I said, you know what? Once the chairs are packed away, they're going to buckle under the back, and my name's going to be smeared and whatever, and then blah. So what happened was, I decided, you know, that certain things just wasn't adding up. Looking at it more closely, started, you know, collecting their audios, listening to our conversations, and so forth. Even the conversations I was having with all of them after that point, I was recording everything. And I said, you know what? This is crazy, man. Wallah, this is crazy. So my daughter came up to me Thursday night. I'm the new appointed, you know, part-time khatib at Fanar. And she said, Daddy. I said, yeah, what is it? She said, can I listen to Hassan Malik? And you know, I just looked at my daughter. I got on the minbar, and I'm like, this is like my second or third khutbah. You know, in Fanar, I'm nervous. And after the khutbah, he came up to me, gave me a hug, and he said, I want to talk to you about come. Is he coming physically or come with me? So I asked him, I said, Dr. Bilal, you wrote the Ansar Allah cult community in the West. He said, I'm not going to say they are a cult. So he said, take my number, I want to talk to you. So we had maybe one conversation. So at that time, I was going on collecting all of this information. So by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was a student out here whose mother, okay? And this student, he was applying for the IELTS exam. So his mother was a psychologist, tactical patterns. So I said, listen, straight up, tell her I need to have a session at her office. So Allah blessed me to have a session, and I went what I had, and she, connection fine?